Through the hot red tides of sin.
7, Bravo, Delta, Quebec.
This is Faith Blind
Council.
Everything is within.
You create the light.
That's it.
Oscar, Sierra.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Lux Occult, the podcast where we gleefully butcher the mundane. God damn it. Let me try this again. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Lux Occult, the podcast where we gleefully taunt the mundane, butcher the Latin and most other languages, and also discuss a variety of occult topics. I'm Lux Estrada, and if you are hearing this, then this show, and magic for that matter, is for you, if you want it. There are a lot of different ways to be more free, and using magic or making space for a spiritual practice in your life can be one of them. As always, I don't speak for anyone but myself, and others can, will, and should disagree sometimes. How will we ever learn anything if we all agreed all the time after all? And like anyone should be, I am willing to revise my opinions based on new evidence. Well, the stars have aligned, and I am pleased to bring you this highly collaborative episode featuring the host of the Faith Blind Council podcast and Dave from Unearthing Paranormalcy. You can also hear Dave and I discuss his path of druidry in 2 earlier episodes of this show, and you can also hear Yara from Faith Blind Council and I talk about the magic of language in another one, so check those out. Dave was kind enough to do the voice work for the guided meditation that is at the end of this episode. For the sake of convenience, I will also release the meditation on its own. The folks from Faith Blind Council and I were originally planning to do a short intro and kind of go over the Green Mushroom Project and give some tips about meditation. But then we started arguing about semantics and talking about Gorpfh-flavored Twix and time travelers and shit, and well, it just kind of turned into a whole episode. But for all the joking around that we do in this one, I think there's some really solid advice. So thank you so much to Cologne, Dreadnought, Yara. Thanks for joining me for this. As I said, the last 20 minutes is a guided meditation that I wrote for the Green Mushroom Project and is read for you in dulcet tones by Dave from Unearthing Paranormalcy. All right, gratitude to everyone who is collaborating on this. There are so many people to thank that I really can't do it justice here, but I will say that it has been absolutely incredible hearing about what everybody is up to with their green mushroom work, so please keep the stories coming and keep posting about your projects with the green mushroom hashtag. I want to again acknowledge the help that I've gotten over these last few months, which, looking back, were quite a bit harder on me than I think I was willing to admit at the time. Sometimes it can pay to be thick-headed, I don't know. But a big thanks and much love to Torrin, Elise, Asher, Dave, Yara, Nia Ain, Becky, Arspex, Hepastes, Douglas from What Magic Is This, and Aidan Wachter. Definitely check out his books and his podcast 6 Ways. A big shout out to everybody on the Green Mushroom Council on the Discord, and to Zach. So stoked to have you with us, dude. Much love to Nate and his family too. All right, a few words about the Green Mushroom Hypho Sigil. This is a large-scale group working in which we have created a web of green-aspected healing and friendship magic that can be drawn on to repair damage and forge bonds of, friendship and regain ground. The mushroom is also a saprotroph, meaning that it eats dead stuff, and its connection with death can help to release pain and dissolve trauma. To hook up with the web, simply incorporate the green mushroom sigil into your work. I've been doing this in a variety of ways, as people who follow the show's Instagram at Lux Occult Pod have probably seen. Many of us are working with the sigil on Fridays, Fungal Fridays. I've been writing the sigil on a green candle and lighting it on Friday at midnight, Eastern Standard Time. Last week, there were a few of us on a voice chat, and we all sort of did this together, and it was a really fun and cool, kind of impromptu telemagic thing. So hell yeah, everyone. If you would like to be on the Green Mushroom Council, head over to the Faith Blind Council Discord server, and that is where we are organizing all this and where I like to hang out. As I said, you can hook up with the web by using the sigil. and you can use the magic by, among other things, imagining the spores of the mushroom, little green specks of magic, collecting around where they are needed and doing their work. It's designed to be like really accessible, and as long as you're working with the intent of the project, it's really safe. Just please only use the magic for acts of like healing and repair and other like, nice shit. Don't be an asshole. There are built-in countermeasures. Speaking of which, I worship a goddess of love and war, and this project has these attributes as well. It's not just about networking and supporting each other and healing. It's also about resistance, about fighting for what you love, for what you know is right. I want us to be able to step back a little bit and see the bigger picture and realize that a lot of the things we might want to be worrying about exist like outside and above some of the structures, like, political parties and stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying that stuff isn't worth worrying about. I just mean that there's like a lot of complexity to how all this stuff fits together, and it's worth kind of trying to parse it out and like figure out how to best like situate yourself within these systems and how to be effective. One idea that I have about this is like finding out where your privilege meets your talents. Everybody has like some privilege. Obviously this varies a whole lot, and I'm not saying that everyone is privileged either. I just think that it's something that we all could recognize that we have some of. And when you find where that is, find where it intersects with your talent. The intersection of your talent and your privilege is a place that you can work from to create the change that you want to see. The things that are worth fighting for. All right, so let's do some serious healing so we can have the strength to face our battles of power, whatever form they may take. Resist. Resist by maintaining sovereignty of the self. Resist by maintaining love of the self. Resist by maintaining fierce loyalty to love and pleasure. Resist with acts of radical kindness. Focus on the path to better times. All right, don't forget to check out the Instagram account for the project at HyphoSigil and post pics of your creative projects using the green mushroom sigil to the hashtag #thegreenmushroom. I will also put some links to some resources for the project in the show notes, so please be sure to check those out. Thank you so much for listening to Lux Occult. As always, you can send your thoughts, questions, suggestions, arcane revelations, or whatever else to luxoccultpod@gmail.com or hit me up on Instagram at @thememeticdisease. All right, so I do want to say that the mushroom just wants to grow, and I do need to remind everybody that there is most certainly an inherent dick joke in all of this. And so speaking of dick jokes, here is my conversation with the folks from the Faith Blind Council podcast.
Through the hot red tides of sin.
7, Bravo, Delta, Quebec.
This is Blind.
All right, so this is Lux Estrada from the Lux Occult podcast, and I am here with...
It's me. I'm Frater Dreadnought. I am one of the hosts over at the Faith Blind Council podcast.
I'm Frater Yara Marud, also a host over at Faith Blind Council, but my name's kind of tricky, so you can just call me Yara.
And I'm Seder Cologne, also a host of the Faith Blind Council.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me, I guess, for this intro to this meditation. Do you guys have any tips for like maybe people who are just kind of new to the practice of meditation?
I mean, how much time do we have? So one of the first things that I did when I started really diving into magic was I started working in Zen Buddhism, which is entirely just about staring at walls. The term Zazen loosely translates into wall gazing. It's entirely about meditation and just kind of allowing yourself to take thoughts that you're having and let them go to a logical conclusion and then let them go. The entire practice is about learning how your mind works, right? There are people that'll say things about, reaching enlightenment. Enlightenment is bullshit. Like, just get that out of there. Get any thought that you're going to become like this, like bodhisattva kind of character is a bizarre farce, right?
Also, anyone who ever says that they are enlightened, immediately write them off as a bullshit artist.
Yes,
Be
run
suspicious.
far, far away.
I mean, unless they're talking about having lost a bunch of weight or something, but like we're splitting hairs at this point.
Hey!
But anyways, what it really boils down to, at least in that school of meditation, is that you are using it as a way to gain a measure of control over your mind. One of the things that a lot of people kind of have as like a hang up, right, is kind of placing the blame of stuff on an external source, like my boss made me mad, or my coworker made fun of me and made me upset, when in reality you have a lot more control over those things than you would be led to believe. And through meditation, you are able to kind of start parsing those emotions that you have, parsing those thoughts that lead you to that place, and start to understand a little more how your mind works.
Well, and then getting into that, like you can also argue that that's part of a separate branch of meditation, which could be called insight meditation, which could also fall under the title of like shadow work, where you're kind of figuring out why you act the way you do. So taking your example of, okay, a coworker made me upset. And through meditation and figuring out, like, just sitting there with your thoughts, figuring out why did that make me upset? Well, it made me upset because it attacked me based on this attribute of myself. Okay, well, why am I sensitive about that attribute of myself? Well, I'm sensitive about that attribute of myself because there was a certain moment in my past where I was attacked for that relentlessly. Okay, well, what can I do to let go of that? And like so on and so on and so on. It's just a recursive kind of thing going further and further back. But just like basic meditation in and of itself is, as you had said, Dreadnought, just being there with your thoughts. And to answer your question, Luxa, one of the first tips that I'd give as far as a beginner into meditation is when you're sitting there and just like you have all of these intrusive thoughts, you're sitting there, you're trying to focus on your breath, which is one of the primary or like most common.
Basic.
Yeah, kind of basic idea of meditation, like,
right.
Being present in your body, focusing on your breath. Totally.
Yeah. So, like, with that being one of the most common and ubiquitous focuses, just sitting there focusing on your breath, you're going to have intrusive thoughts. You're going to have thoughts like, oh, this is fucking stupid. I'm just sitting here, I'm not doing anything. This is boring. I need to do something else. Like,
I fucking hate this.
Yeah, I fucking hate this. Why am I just sitting here? This is dumb. You're going to have those intrusive thoughts, but like Dreadnought had said, just let them reach their like logical end. Like, okay, well, that's it. Okay, I'm bored. Okay, that's cool. And as far as beginning meditation, it's not so much like you'll shoot for like maybe 5 minutes to begin. And if that's too much, like go for 1 minute of doing it. And at that point, it's not so much that you're like achieving anything with meditation. It's more that you're building a habit of actually doing it every day.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you get that, like you're building into a habit of doing it every day. And as you do it every day, you'll begin getting less intrusive thoughts. And fuck, I still get intrusive thoughts. And I've been doing this for 20 years. Like it happens.
No, I do too.
Yeah, it fucking happens. You just let it go. Like, okay, well, yeah, I'm bored. Next. And it's particularly bad because I have ADHD really bad. So like my mind is all over the fucking place. And so, like, getting rid of those intrusive thoughts is a pain in the dick, but, like, you just let it reach its logical conclusion. Like, okay, I'm bored. Okay, back to my breath. Just
There's
keep...
also this idea of, like, welcoming those thoughts. Like, it's like, hey, what's up, boredom? Welcome to the fucking party. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, anxiety? Nice to fucking see you.
Right.
you seem to show up a
a
lot.
part of meditation is definitely being able to sit with those feelings and not just distracting yourself from them as well. That's one kind of meditation in any case.
Right.
I feel
And like Dreadnought had said, like, it's getting comfortable with your own self and like knowing how your mind works. Okay, like, I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? Well, because I should be doing a bunch of other things. Yes, but now's not the time to do that. Like, we have until that timer goes off to just sit here and think. Next. It's more building a practice when you're starting off than trying to achieve any like pie in the sky goal of, reaching sitting there for like 30 minutes with no fucking intrusive thoughts. That's not going to happen starting off. You have to just build up there, just like with the practice of magic.
Absolutely. I think you've actually hit on something really important about it too, Yara. Like the idea that you are setting this time aside, like to do this thing just for, yourself or whatever, like, just making that decision and carrying it through is itself like an important aspect of it, I think.
Yeah, it's a form of like, if you're not doing it for magical purposes and you're just doing it for like all of the benefits of meditation, be it like clarity of mind or all of the medical benefits of meditation, if you're just doing it for that, that's fine. Like, you're still you're setting aside a time for self-care. Like, it's like setting aside time for sleep.
Yeah, but like making that choice and like making it real, you could contextualize it as a sort of like act of magic. Like you are rearranging your reality in a small way. So,
oh no, definitely.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I feel like a couple of things that people really like get tripped up with when it comes to meditation, especially starting out, is that like number one, when you're first starting out with any kind of like esotericism, or occult, whatever, people tend to think that meditation is in and of itself inherently a magical thing. It's not, but
Mhm.
it is the building blocks upon which you build a practice, right?
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
the second thing that a lot of people really get tripped up on is the idea of these like milestones, right? Or these achievements of like, I meditated for 30 minutes today. I meditated for an hour today. It's not about that. Yeah, it's not about that at all. And like to kind of go back as far as like tips for people starting out with meditation, fuck up, get distracted, fucking lose your cool, get mad, throw shit around the room, fucking quit after 30 seconds and realize that it's not the end of the world if you do that.
Yeah, and I like long before we had started this podcast, I had been talking to Kilone, and she was just doing meditation, and this was when I had first kind of um, introduced her to the concept of magic. And if I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Kilone.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, good. You had said something to the effect of like, I feel like I've gotten everything out of meditation I can. Like, I've gotten to the end. Like, what's the point? I just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, that's the point.
I don't know if it's as much was that. I really struggled with meditation for a long time, and it was when you introduced me to the Liber Null that it changed for me, because I felt like I had a nice step-by-step process. Like, it didn't start out with just telling you, yeah, clear your mind. It's like, oh, sure, that's simple. Yeah, just clear your mind. Which so many other meditations like just kind of start with something like that.
Right, just here you go. Make the rest of the. You have some
What does that
eggs.
mean?
Make the rest of the souffle. That's
Exactly.
Finish drawing the horse.
And so, like, I always thought, oh, meditation just isn't so much for me, or like, I don't know. But like, when I started working with that, like, it starts you with something dumb simple, which is just be still. Hold your body still for as long as you can and just observe your body. And don't worry about your thoughts, don't worry about your breathing or anything else. And from there, once you can do that for 15, 20 minutes, maybe, it's like once you're comfortable with that, then maybe start focusing on your breathing. And then I forget the steps exactly now. I haven't really gone back to it in a while, but I do know that those steps were really helpful for me. Maybe because for me with meditation, focusing on my body is very, very helpful. It's that's like my first go-to is this focusing on my body, doing an inventory of my body, I don't really do a lot of breath focus because I use other forms of focus a lot of times, and my breath kind of follows suit.
Yeah, and like I think there's a strong argument to be made about a lot of the kind of physicality of meditation has to do with just occupying your fucking ape brain, right? Like just telling your brain to focus on something. Like, no, we're focusing on breathing. We're focusing on staying still. We're focusing on all this stuff so that.
But I need a goddamn snack.
Yeah.
No.
I want to watch that YouTube video.
You know, it's very much like kind of sitting down, or like you know, if you've ever worked on a group project, right? And there's always the one person in the group that's kind of just fucking dead weight. It doesn't really contribute anything. They're trying their best. They're trying as much as they can try.
Are they trying?
No,
I'm not saying their best is good. Their best is terrible. It's fucking awful, but they're goddamn trying, right? And
okay, this is a different scenario than the one I'm familiar with then.
But you have that person, and sometimes you just have to give them something that doesn't fucking matter so that they are occupied and not distracting everybody else, right? That's what breath control is. It's like giving.
Here you go, buddy. Format that document. Just put some page numbers on it, and you're doing great.
Listen, I need you to go to the garage and find me a whole pint of elbow grease. And they just go and they're gone. They're doing that for however long. And like you can then focus on the you know, work of actually, you know, taking an inventory, observing your body, observing your thoughts without this like nagging fucking kid in the back of your head screaming about having to take a shit or whatever.
No, I actually really like that fucking analogy. When I do automatic writing, one of the things I have to do to like get myself into the headspace is like imagine like a loud like kind of static buzzing in my head to like kind of like distract me enough to be able to just do it.
Yeah.
So that it's like the same thing.
Yeah, I think that like in that regard, there's kind of this idea that like meditation is always like you're sitting half lotus or full lotus. You've got like some universal mudra. You're doing some chant. Like, no, you can do it like at work.
Just sit down and do nothing. Just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Which is basically my job anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, yeah, don't like get too in your head about like, am I meditating right? Like, if you're meditating, then you're meditating right. I'm just gonna say that.
Like if you're
doing it.
Yeah, the best magic, the best practice, the best anything is the one you actually do. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Just sit down and start doing it, or don't sit down. Like, fuck it.
Or like if you're learning to ride a bicycle. Like, the minute you're on the bicycle, you're riding the bicycle. Like, it's whether or not you have, you know, techniques and shit down. But the minute you're on it, you're doing it. Like, you're just improving from that point.
Yeah, and the only way to actually learn how to do it is to fucking do it. So
yeah. Like, you can't teach someone how to ride a bicycle from a book. Like, they have to actually do it. You can't read a book on how to ride a bicycle and know how to ride one if you've never actually, you know, straddled up and gotten on a fucking bicycle.
Yeah. There's a saying that keeps like popping up in any conversation that I have about any kind of progress, right? And it's that the master has failed more times than the novice has attempted. There is no person that sits down and just bats 1,000 from day one. They're the fucking perfect be all end all at anything. Like before Jay-Z was Jay-Z, he was just a guy trying to sell you his mixtape. Like before he was like doing Jay-Z things, he was just a dude outside of the 7-Eleven like, hey man, buy my mixtape, and everyone was like, no, and he was like, okay. Everybody starts somewhere, and like if you don't start, you're never gonna get to that point.
Absolutely. And like I think in that sort of like vein of thought, like maybe you can celebrate your fucking failures in the same way that you celebrate your victories, because like if you fucking have failed enough times, you're eventually gonna fucking get it right. So yeah. I don't know.
What is it? Adventure Time. Sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something.
Yes, I think I fucking talk about that on my show. Absolutely.
I think that there's a lot of things that people get really hung up about when it comes to meditation. And I think a lot of it has to do with it being so unfamiliar, right? Like there aren't, at least like, in like the way that like American society is set up, there's not an emphasis set on placing time for yourself.
Oh, no. Like, definitely. The entire idea of, like, Western thought is you constantly have to be doing something. You have to be doing something. You have to accomplish something. You have to be out and creating something. If you're not doing, and especially in Western bullshit or like American bullshit where, like, we've all worked fucking retail. The whole thing you've probably heard from fucking managers. If you're leaning, you can be cleaning. Like,
Time
fuck
to
off.
lean, time to clean.
Yeah,
Yes.
fuck off.
That's fun.
Like, yeah. Like, within Western thought, you always have to be doing something, and the entire concept of just sitting there alone with yourself and your own thoughts is the antithesis of the Western ideal.
The best response, just tangentially, that I ever heard to "if you have time to lean, you have time to clean." There was this dude I worked with in a kitchen. Our manager said that to him, and he turned around and was like, "You pay me $10 an hour, you're getting $10 an hour." It was fucking beautiful.
Yeah!
It was fucking amazing.
Well, and I sort of like this idea of this too. If you want to, you could contextualize the act of meditation as a sort of rebellion against that. So that's kind of cool. If that helps get you there, then fuck yeah.
Yeah, because what it is you're taking care of yourself rather than, I need to get up and I need to fucking drive to work in order to pay off my car so that way I can earn my employer money so that he gives me money to pay off my car to go to work to make him money. Like, I'm actually going to sit here and take care of myself for once. There's an idea.
Man, sometimes you got to crash the truck to get the insurance payment so you can make the truck payment. Like,
Are you enforcing insurance fraud?
Yes.
I think that's what you're doing right now.
Lie to your boss and steal shit. It's fun. But one of the things that like really helps me out, and it kind of ties into it being like thinking of meditation as kind of this like rebellious act, right? Specific to like insight meditation is that like you just question everything, right? The idea is that you sit there and you question like, well, why am I doing this? Why does this make me feel this way? Why? It's always there. Or why not? Like, why don't I care about this? And by exploring those kind of thought channels, you're going to go places that aren't always the prettiest.
Oh, no, you'll go to some dark places.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's going to be a place where you will gain from it overall.
Totally.
And again, that is like, very much an insight meditation kind of thing. It's not specific to like guided meditations or, I don't know, fucking other, I don't know. Are there even other meditations? I don't know shit about shit. Why am I talking right now?
I don't know the names of like different types of meditations. I just know that I meditate in different ways depending on what I want from that meditation. And I really liked earlier, Luxa, when you like mentioned concentrating on a buzzing noise in order to kind of clear your mind, because I think all of us probably have different techniques of similar ways to clear our minds or to get a certain energy or to get to a certain mental place and focus, and that's all a form of meditation as well.
Right, and that goes back to the concept with like Eastern meditation in Hinduism and shit like that, with the the universal mantra of Om. I've worked with a lot of people who haven't had much experience in meditation whatsoever, and like we'd be sitting around a fire or whatever. I'm like, okay, like you have trouble with meditation. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Just say Om while you're doing it as a full breath, and just focus on you saying that. And that's like kind of along the lines of focusing on the like static noise or whatever, but it's a very similar process where you're producing a sound and you're focusing on said sound in order to clear your mind.
Yeah, I know, totally. That's a great point. Definitely.
Well, along those same lines, I use techniques like remembering certain sensations to bring myself into my body. Like one I like to use a lot is the sensation of falling. Like I've been on one of those like ripcord rides where you're dropped
Those
on
are the
like a table,
fucking dopest.
and I
That
love
sounds
them. And
fucking terrible.
I love it, but the like when you're in a roller coaster, you're in that free fall feeling. You're very aware of like at least I was of every square millimeter of my body, and that sensation and that feeling, and that brings me into my body instantly when
I'm used to every
I
millimeter of my body and how it's going to feel when I hit the ground.
Well, no,
But-
I think that's probably part of it, actually, though. That's very interesting.
yeah, it's just a really good memory that I can like get myself back there and be like, oh, I can feel my whole body kind of falling, and like I'm there, and I'm aware of it. And I use that for like brief or quick meditation sometimes.
No, I do a similar thing with joint pain. I have like really shitty joints from just treating my body like an absolute dumpster for 32 years. And when I'm like sitting down to meditate, a lot of times like my back starts hurting, my knees start hurting. And what I've found is like when that starts happening, you just kind of acknowledge that that's a thing and try to focus and pinpoint exactly where it's at. And by doing that, like my brain will just kind of start to dissipate it because it's like, oh, it's my knee. Okay, but where at in your knee? Well, it's towards the top. Okay, but where at the top? And you just keep doing that. And eventually your brain's like, well, I don't fucking know. It's my fucking knee. And then it's just done, right?
I was going to ask if that's something that you ever experiment with. Like, I don't know if you do a lot of dream work. Like, that's something that falling sensation is something that I play with a lot in like a hypnagogic state, like the state that you kind of get into as you're falling asleep.
I do some dream work. I dream very vividly, but I'm not particularly great at it because I'm actually like I've said this before. I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but like I'm a really natural lucid dreamer, so I haven't developed very good techniques to remind myself to do things when I'm in lucid dreams because I'm not practiced at doing it. It's just something I
Maybe you
do.
don't fucking need to, though. Like, no, that's cool though. If you have a natural talent for it.
Yeah, I'm always like kind of forgetting, and I've been working on it. I have different techniques I'm working on.
Here's what you do. You
What do I
write
do?
whatever the thing is you want to do in your dream, write it on your hand before you go to bed, right? And when you fall asleep and you're in a dream state, look at your hand. And if it's there, and you'll see it, and then you do it.
Funnily enough, like I do have I have a hand tattoo, and that's basically my tell when I'm dreaming. If I have like lucid dreaming, if I think of it, oh, look at my hand. Do I have a tattoo on my hand? If I don't, then I know I'm dreaming. And it reminds me, like, try to check that, like the whole Inception crap where you're like, what's your tell that you're dreaming? Mine is my hand tattoo.
Usually mine is that I'm happy.
You're happy. Yeah, I know that one too. Like I'm enjoying myself way too much right now.
Mine is that I can't read things.
That's another thing with like dream work. People have asked me like how to get into lucid dreams and shit. I'm like, I don't do it. I don't feel the need to do it because my dreams are far more fucking entertaining just sitting back and letting them happen. Yeah, I know there's benefit to doing magic in dreams and shit like that, but I would rather watch me get into a cage fight with John Wilkes Booth over, getting like trying to win a new Twix flavor. Like I would rather watch that happen than fucking, okay, yeah, I'm going to perform a ritual that I've done a bunch of times in life. No, fuck that. Cage fight.
Twix doesn't need any more flavors, goddammit.
No, it was called Gorpfh. That was the flavor.
That's awful.
I
didn't even want to know what flavor that actually tastes like.
I need to know what Gorpfh tastes like.
That is not an aesthetic word.
No, it's not.
Or an aesthetically pleasing word.
No,
I should
but
say.
I need to know, like, is Twix lying to me? Is this actually like the best flavor ever, or is it just shit on a biscuit? I need to know what Gorpfh.
Argue.
I think we need to get like a fucking team of psychologists in here to figure this out.
Trust me, they will not get paid enough.
Well, I think similarly, like my dreams, I use them very much as like a psychological tool for myself. So I think sometimes I don't like. I want to explore where my mind is going because it tells me so much about myself.
So you just bypass the whole fucking meditation thing by like going to sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes, because I'll wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, a bunch of stuff was going on in that dream that maybe I should deal with.
You know what though? I think we've actually hit on something that is, to me at least, in my opinion, sort of important. Like these practices, like they're not like these little separate islands off, like, or I guess you could think about them that way since islands are still connected by the water, but like they're all fucking connected to each other. Like, I mean, the things that come for like meditating for me, like I often continue that sometimes in dream work, you know, whether I fucking want to or not, like
Right,
in some cases,
yeah.
you know. So I mean, like it's kind of thinking about this stuff in more of like an integrated way, like in terms of like, you know, it's not, you don't have to like be like, oh, now I have to go meditate. Like if you're like doing what you're doing, you can like take a beat and just fucking take a couple minutes and just chill with your thoughts or whatever. Like you don't have to like overthink it, like get into it however you want and connect it with the other things that you're already doing in whatever way like makes sense.
I mean, with my dreams, I'm never going to overanalyze it because that would take me for all of my waking life to try and figure that shit out.
Well, what are you doing anyways?
That's true. That's very true.
No, I think that like that's a really important thing is to kind of touch on, is that these things aren't like separate, you know, whatever. Like it's all, you kind of look at magic holistically, right? In the sense of like, okay, how does meditation inform my divination? How does my divination inform my praxis, right? How do these things all work together?
I know what you mean when you use the word holistically, but that word just kind of has a knee-jerk reaction for me.
Yeah, because you think of every person with a pixie haircut walking into a Walgreens and buying all of the fucking like St. John's wort because they don't want to actually go to the doctor.
I actually went to a wedding for a friend last year, and this fucking person fucking rolls up on their rollerblades and just starts talking about shit. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then we somehow fall into the concept of vaccines, and they start going on about fucking pharmaceutical companies poisoning us. I'm like, that's not how vaccines work. Like, well, you need to look at the whole, like, how you live your life holistically. And I just wanted to hit her with a brick.
Dude, Yara, this story started out with this person rollerblading up to you. Like,
Yes.
Were they a time traveler? Like,
I don't know.
Even worse.
I was in some weird time warp, and they were
sounds
just
very bizarre.
I just wanted to hit them with a brick, and I was already pretty drunk, and I was just mad and yelling at them about vaccines, and they're like, you don't understand it. You have too much anger in your heart. I'm like, anger in my heart has nothing to do with fucking science. Like, that doesn't change facts. Well, you need to work on yourself holistically.
How
And then
about
they
the
rollerblade it off into
word? Why do you
concept.
think of the word dialectic instead?
That's fine, I guess.
I'm just going to
maybe-
point out that I can define the word holistic. So, like,
Yeah,
I've
that's
already
good.
got a
So,
leg
I
up
mean,
on
so
this
can
movie,
I.
like-
But if you're using shit like the word holistic to argue against sound science, then I'm going to punch you in the neck.
Well, that's why I chose a more clinical term of integrated.
That works too. I like that.
I mean,
I
that's
like
fine.
that.
When I think of holistic, I think of it in a clinical way of like, you look at the entire thing. Like, literally, you look at how all of these things connect to like together. I don't think of it in the sense of like, no, I don't take prescription medicine. I don't even take Tylenol. Fuck yourself. Tylenol is great. But like,
Well, no, I don't. Fuck Tylenol. Like, no. I've already wrecked my liver enough. I don't need pills to do it too.
Okay, though, I think we're touching on something interesting about language and semantics and maybe memetics, actually. Like this word holistic, right? Like it has all these different, you could call them hashtags associated
No,
with it
they're
to all
hippie
of these different
buzzwords.
people. And this, yeah, exactly, buzzwords to us
Hippie
hearing it. Like when I
buzzwords.
hear it, when I hear holistic, I do think about like essential oils, butthole sunning, but I know that that's not what that word actually means. Those are just the weird associations that have been built
It's
around
been
it.
co-opted by the goddamn New Agers, just fucking trying to sell me crystals in order to stop me from getting COVID. Guess what, bitch? I have COVID, and I have a fuckload of crystals!
Also, you know what? Yeah, if you're into crystals and butthole sunning, like live your best life. Like for real. Like I'm not knocking that. Like you do you, but like
But just do it like over there behind a privacy fence. Like I don't need to see your dingy asshole. Just
well,
like,
I
out.
mean, like where? I mean, it seems like that's something you'd have to go looking for. Though, so.
Yeah, you've got to be wandering the fields to find that dingy asshole.
I don't have a
Just
job.
don't
I
go
got
looking
nothing
for the
but
dingy
time.
asshole if you don't want to see it.
I got nothing but time. It's fine. All right. Meditation.
Wait, weren't we talking about meditation?
Meditation. Back to this.
So, what you want
Go
to do
team.
is you meditate so that you don't end up on tangents about anything.
Well, fuck, what have I been doing wrong?
So we've established that we're all very good at meditating.
Yes. No thought goes unturned.
And no turn goes unthought.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm super excited to share all these interesting tips. Hopefully this will be helpful to people. I think that it will at least be entertaining.
That's what I shoot for.
I will say, in seriousness, with the concept of like you having a guided meditation lined up and everything, the purpose of that, like I've found them helpful, especially for people not too used to meditation in general, because I've given guided meditations in order to do all sorts of things like past life regression or talking to your holy guardian angel or like doing shadow work with other people. Like it's a very good way to get into that mindset with no experience. It's like so take like an analogy of learning how to drive. It's like having someone as a co-pilot who's helping you guide along to the mind space you want to be in without prior experience of having gone there before.
It's also just a really good way to avoid getting stuck in a rut because, like, the thing with meditation is it's fucking boring. It is fucking boring. You just sit there and you stare at stuff, right? It's really easy to burn out on that. And like when you like, if you need like some inspiration on something, or you need to just avoid getting stuck and like burning out and like, well, I haven't gotten any kind of like benefit from doing this. Why am I even fucking doing it? Like guided meditations are a great way to avoid that kind of pitfall.
Yeah, and like I've used guided meditations before, just because I have insomnia. I've put on headphones and shit while I'm trying to go to sleep and listen to a guided meditation in order to get me into a more like sleep-friendly mental space. So that way, like, it clears my own thoughts. While listening to someone else describe things, I have significantly fewer intrusive thoughts coming in, and that kind of helps me get into a state where I can go to sleep.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's by listening to an external source, you're able to kind of get rid of those intrusive thoughts because you've given both your monkey brain and your conscious brain something to focus on.
Yeah, no, totally.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit in guided meditations, especially for people who have little to no experience with meditation in general, or at least like a novice understanding of meditation, or like where they haven't gotten into the whole habit or program of doing it every day.
Yeah, definitely. It can be like a really good entryway. So this one that is going to be at the end of the episode it's the first one that I've ever like written for other people, so I would be interested to hear people's feedback about it. I had originally recorded myself reading it, but it had zero chill. So
were you just fucking yelling into the microphone?
Well,
like, fucking
I'm a very
relax!
passionate
Like,
person.
you're not relaxed enough! Relax! Fuck!
I heard you guys talking about astrology on one of your recent episodes, and I did look at my chart, and I do have Mars in Scorpio, so maybe it's that. But like, there's
Scorpio has no fucking chill. None.
There was no chill. So I was able to convince my friend Dave from the Unearthing Paranormalcy podcast to do the voice work for it, which I super fucking appreciate. His voice is much more relaxing and chill than mine. So hell yeah, Dave, I do appreciate your help with this. Fuck yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I can imagine, like, because I've thought about doing like a guided meditation. I've like that would work on, you know, a couple of different levels. And the hang up that I always come to is like nobody wants to hear like, hell yeah, dude, let's go find the Earth world. Like that's not relaxing for anybody. Like,
Hell yeah, brother! You see that fucking calm lake over there? We're gonna take a dip.
yeah,
Strip down, brother.
it's gonna be awesome. Go find the damn pearl. Like nobody wants to hear that.
Oh shit. All right, well, I do want to talk about one more thing, if that's cool. Like,
Oh, of course.
the fucking Discord server that you guys have set up, it's fucking so dope. It really is cool.
Thank
The
you.
people there are very smart and interesting, and it's really like a fucking... it's a fucking refuge in the terrible, terrible storm that is the internet. So
Yeah, we do our best to keep it like as focused as it fucking can be, but like there's a lot of places to discuss lots of shit. But like, and it can seem kind of intimidating with all of the channels that they have there, but we have like it's manicured. So
yeah,
like,
there's a logic to it. It's okay.
yeah, there's logic to it. It's manicured as best as it can be, and like, but yeah, it's a very, very, very welcoming community. And like, if you have any questions, there's always going to be someone on there to fucking answer them for you. There's always someone there who at least knows a little bit of a shit.
No, but like a lot of the reason why our Discord is as like manageable as it is because we have a fucking amazing mod team.
Oh, fuck yeah.
They're super active, they're super knowledgeable, and they are very willing to like take the time to sit and like herd the cats into like where they're supposed to be at. So yeah, big shout out to our mod team on our Discord server. You guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like, it really is a very, very cool, like, group of people. And I've actually, you know, I've poked around on a lot of different servers and stuff, and a lot of it is people kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk shit about the people
we've
shit,
heard-
but like,
I think we all understand.
there's a lot of stuff going on out there that it's like people are kind of trying to like play these pretend games or whatever, like instead of actually talking about the real thing. Like, people will ask a question and it's like you'll get all the responses will be so like weird and imaginal and like, which is fine, but like, so finding your guys' server was like, oh, okay, cool. The people are actually talking about something that makes fucking sense.
I've heard from a couple people who've gone like surfing on Discord servers, like magic related ones. Not only have they said that like we're one of the most active ones, we're one of the ones who like keep shit on topic and will actually help people if they need them or if they need the help. And like, because the last comment that I heard, someone had said like, yeah, there's a lot of like chaos magic servers, but it's completely dead. There's no one there, and like, yeah, they'll answer questions, but then right after that, it completely dies. But with ours, I feel that it's a big friendly community. Like, once you've joined in, like you're part of this all-inclusive community.
Yeah, and people are like super chill. They're super willing to like, it seems like, help each other out with whatever, you know, questions that they're facing. For actually I've noticed not just magical stuff. Like, sometimes people will ask like general life advice, like, hey, you guys are smart. Could you fucking help me out? Like, so that's really cool.
I object to anybody classifying me as smart, but you know, other than that, yeah, I'll give you advice. I wouldn't listen to it, but you can.
Well, we've already established that you're not very active on the server, Trent.
No,
and we know that you're following the non-metaphor paradigm.
Yeah, I refuse to follow it. But like, so one of the things is that like it does get to be very overwhelming for me, just like personally, and like I don't want that to read as like, oh, this dude doesn't give a shit about, you know, the community that's there. I care.
No, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. No, I get it. I totally get it, dude. I have like crazy social anxiety. Like it's fucking a lot, and I'm just teasing. I don't think you need to do anything other than what you're doing.
Well, no,
No,
but
like
it's
I'm one of the more active people on there, and I have debilitating social anxiety. But like one of the things is like I also, as I've mentioned, I have really bad ADHD, so I overshare a lot. So like I just see everyone on the Discord as my family members. So it's like, hey, you're going to learn a lot about Frater Yara, a lot more than you ever needed to know.
No, dude, but I think that actually might be part of it, though. Like the fact that you're willing to be honest about shit and everything, like it gives other people like permission to do the same thing, and I think that that's fucking cool.
Well, it's also a thing of like nobody wants to go onto a Discord server. So like as it's like tangent to all of this, like it'll come back around, I promise. But like so in addition to there being like a lot of active channels on our Discord server, I'm in like a bunch of other Discord servers. So anytime I open the Discord app, I've got like upwards of 100 servers that I'm checking on, right? Like it's just
Jesus Christ,
just a
dude.
shit ton.
You need to fucking calm down.
Yeah, that's insane. What the fuck?
I will not, and you can't make me. But like, so like with that going on, there's like it's just compounded, right? But one of the very common things that I see in Discord servers that are not very active is that every time you go in there, it's like you're trying. It's like you're being sold something, right? People fucking hate feeling like you're trying to sell them something, and like the entire idea with us when we were discussing making a Discord server was like, look, if we're going to do this, it needs to be done right. It needs to be something that provides value and isn't something that people feel like they're missing out if they're not there, right? And it was the same thing. It's been the same thing anytime that like we look at adding content to anything like our podcast, website, Discord, whatever, is like, how can this provide value for anybody, right? Anybody that's coming along.
Right, and we've had plenty of people who've jumped in the Discord server who don't listen to our podcast at all, and we're more than happy to help them with whatever they need to be. And like, you're more than welcome to join in whatever. Like, you don't have to listen to anything. Like, barely any of the content there is like podcast related. It's more just like, hey, we're dropping an episode if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, and like the whole thing with your show, I'm thinking, it sounds like to me, I don't know, I don't want to put motivations on you that I'm not sure about, but for me, like, the fucking point of it is it should be like a fucking tool that people can use to get the things they need to get to where they need to go. Right.
Like, and it's always been free. Like, all of our shit has absolutely, and Dreadnought and I, when we first started this, everything was going to be free. We're never going to put anything behind a fucking paywall. We're never going to put anything like, oh, you get to check out more information if you sign up to our Patreon page. No, fuck that. You're always going to get the full content regardless. If you want to sign up to our Patreon, fuck it. Like, cool. I mean, that's thanks.
You guys could do like FBC After Dark and charge for that.
Like, So here's like legitimately the reason that I would never want to do something like that. And I know that, like, you know, jokes aside, right? One of the biggest things in this game is that it is full of fucking frauds and it is full of fucking con men, right?
Oh,
like most games, yes.
Yeah.
like most games.
This game is full of motherfuckers that want to make you feel like you need to buy whatever it is they're selling, and what they're selling you is a bag of human shit. Like,
but you might be able to fertilize your garden with it if you do it right.
Yeah, but like my thing is like I do not want to be in that rat race. You know, like
for sure.
Yeah,
fuck that, dude. Yeah, fuck all of that.
Like, I'm a firm believer that if you provide value, if you provide content that people see as like, and I'm not talking value like dollars and cents, but like it's enriching, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you provide that, the other shit will come. Like, you have to make something that you stand by. And like, my thought process has always been like, people that want to like, you know, contribute in that way are going to do so because they feel like they got something out of the shit that we gave them.
And it goes back to the kind of thing where, like, you know, we're in a position where we're teaching people about magic, and we don't want to be the type of people who's like, yeah, our magic's the correct way to do it, and we'll teach you how to do it correctly if you give us so much money. No. Magic has been enriching for our lives. We want your lives to be enriched too. Like, and so, like, we're just sharing the wealth that we've already gained.
Yeah. No, and there's, I don't know. I have ideas about why this happens where people have to do this, right? But
like, I've already spent decades fucking reading all of these goddamn boring ass books. Like, I want someone to find use out of it. It doesn't matter if I get maybe like $5 a month out of it. Fuck that. I don't care. Like, do you find use in it? Awesome. That's great. I'll tell you what fucking books to avoid because a lot of them are garbage.
oh,
Like,
gods. Yes.
so let me just like share what I have with you to make your life as dope as mine is.
But so do you think maybe that like there's something to it though that like, you know, there's this kind of give and take? Because like I feel like a lot of people that I've talked to, like you come to a certain point with this stuff and like you get this like really strong urge to like pay it forward, I guess maybe is one way to contextualize it. Like you want to like be like you're saying, like, holy shit, I've been able to do these things. I have to fucking tell other people about it and let them fucking do it too.
Yes, but I'm not going to fleece them out of their paycheck.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't fucking care about any of that. Like,
Right?
which,
I don't care about that. Because, like, okay, one of the big arguments with magic is like, oh, why haven't you won the fucking lottery if you can fucking
what the
divine
fuck
or
would I
whatever?
want to do that for? Who cares?
Yeah, right. Because
I
that's
already
not
have
my
the shit
ultimate
that I
goal.
want.
Like,
I already have all of the things that I want in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, obviously, there's things I would like to do, but like, my life is pretty fucking dope, and I don't need to fucking win the lottery to improve it. So,
Right.
I don't know.
No, I don't like okay, I can divine the future, whatever. I can do all this shit with magic. I can gain what I want. And winning the lottery is not what I want in life. Like it's having a wide network of friends, people that I can spend time with, me like people that will enrich my life, something better, like me having like what I need in this small space on like in my house or whatever, where I can bring people over and we can fucking do magic and enjoy our lives and like have great friendships, great conversations, like have what I want in this world. That's what I want. I don't want to fucking show up in the fucking newspapers like, oh, this dude won the lottery. Cool. Okay, that's not what I want to do. So if you think winning the lottery is the like epitome of magic, then you've done magic wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, like, I was interviewing Aidan Wachter. He's an author of a couple of different really good books. Check him out. But, like, this kind of, like, idea of, like, approaching magic from, like, an experiential perspective. Like, you're not trying to get, like, the things necessarily, right? Like,
No,
you're trying
right.
to get, like, to the experience of, like, having that in your life.
Yes.
So-
And, like,
My life is enriched by experience, not by things.
There's this existential philosophy that more or less states the only gain, right? Like the only net gain out of this life is in service to others, right? And I think like and there's a lot of, you know, other stuff in there that I don't really have time to get into. But
well, we do love philosophy, so maybe you could come back and share.
Sure, at some point. But like
yeah.
the short version is like your life is not going to be enriched by having a shit ton of money. Your life is not going to be enriched by knowing all of the most influential people and driving the best cars and owning the houses and all of the, you know, all of that stuff. The way that you derive benefit from life is by providing service to others. Which is like there's a lot of tropes, the Bodhisattva, the fucking the Jesuses and the fucking, you know, whomever, right?
Wait,
like,
is it Jesus's or is it Jesus? I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's not. Well, it's not Greek,
It would
so
it would be Yeah, it would be
It's not-
Jesus. No, it would be Jesus's.
Jesus.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, it
Thank
would
you
be
so much.
Jesus
I'm so sorry.
because Jesus is not a Latin word.
Thank you.
So, but anyways, like all of these characters, right? That, like, if you look at it from a Gnostic standpoint, they're all teaching you this lesson that life gains meaning through service to others. And I think that, like, part of the reason why once people who have been practicing any kind of like esoteric system for a long enough time get to that point where they feel like they need to start like pumping that value back out into the atmosphere is because they reach that like point of gnosis, right? They reach that like that kind of conclusion in their head where they're like, okay, I have this, but what do I do with it? How does it serve me at this point when I have the things that I want? Well, it serves you by providing that value to others, thus enriching your own life.
Yes, I love that. And actually, like, thinking about it from like a more like systemic like standpoint, like you could almost think about it as like this kind of like, I mean, you could think about it as like a teeter-totter or something. Like once one aspect of it is like full enough, in order for it to continue to flow, it needs to go the other way.
Well, you could also and to kind of just plug this real quick, you could think about it like a mushroom. Like
Yeah.
like it's by doing this thing, like it's feeding on, you know, the things around it and then turning around and providing that value, right?
Well, and it kind of it reminds me very much of the anecdote of Diogenes and Alexander the Great.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's, if you're unfamiliar with that, Alexander the Great came up on the philosopher Diogenes, and he, like, Diogenes lived in a fucking like pot in the middle of the streets.
Yeah, it's like a
because he
big
was a
fucking
philosopher.
pot. Like
It
Yeah,
was
he
like
just-
his deal.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a shit about anything. And like Alexander the Great asked him, "Do you want anything?" And Diogenes said, "Yes. Can you get out of the way of the sun for a little bit?" And Alexander thought about it, and he said, "You know, if I weren't Alexander the Great, I wish that I were Diogenes." Because Diogenes had such... He knew what he wanted. Like, he didn't need all of this fucking wealth. He lived in a pot in the middle of the street. Like, oh, do you want anything? Like, the greatest fucking emperor the world has ever seen comes up to you. "Can I get you anything?" "Yeah, can you move out of the way of the sun for a little bit?" Like, that'd be great.
No, and I think what you're saying is so important, right? Because like, okay, if you're gonna practice magic, or, you know, make a time for spiritual practice, or however you like to contextualize these things, like, you're going to be changing your life, and like having this idea of like what that greater vision might be for yourself is really, I think, important. And I think that meditation is like one of the things that can kind of help you get there, like being able to like sit with yourself and think about like, I mean,
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, that's where, like, with the meditation and doing magic, you learn more about yourself, and that's where you strip away that whole, you know, materialistic concept of, "I wish that I just had more fucking money." Well, why do you want more money? Like, you're
sure.
already alive, you're already, like, thriving. What more do you want? Well,
Okay,
I
so,
want all of these things so that I can impress people. Well, why the fuck do you want to impress people? Like,
Yeah,
you
who
already
cares
have
about
what
them?
you want. And so
Yeah.
through, like you had said, through meditation and through magical practice, you'll learn what you truly want. And as I'd said, like, if your idea of the pinnacle of magic is winning the fucking lottery, you're doing magic wrong.
Well, you know what? I don't know. Maybe you're not. Like, I feel like this is a very nuanced conversation that I don't want to be reductive about. But like, I'm not sure, because I think
I'll be reductive as fuck. Like, if all you want is material shit in the world, then you're doing it wrong, because that's not what life is.
No, for sure. But like, I could conceive of a context in which like you want to do that to get to another thing or whatever. I don't know. Just saying. I don't want to close off any possibilities.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I think what I would say to that is that, like, magic is a thing that works in ways that we don't fully understand. And it's a thing that works along the path of least resistance, right? So
Yes.
if the shit that you want is to have a bunch of money, and you want to be able to like buy a bunch of stuff and like have a lot of material wealth, the way that you go about that is not by sitting in your room and jerking off on a sigil paper. Pick up some extra shifts at work and invest your money wisely. Like,
Well, maybe do both of those things.
yeah, but like the thing is, you're not going to get there by like spending like meditation is going to get you to a point, right? But you
Mhm.
have to then actualize.
Absolutely.
Like you have to then take that and go somewhere with it. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there and be like, no, I'm not poor. I'm just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. Like you're going to be that asshole, and nobody
Yeah.
wants to be that asshole, right?
No,
So
that's a great point. Like, because I think, yeah, this all of this shit, it's not just about like what you're doing internally or spiritually or whatever. Like, it's reflected in your actions. Like, it's not. You need to be able to make these pathways available to yourself if you want the things that you want to manifest.
yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, magic is awesome, and you can do a bunch of magic to clean your house, but sometimes you just need to fucking take the trash out.
Absolutely. Do the magic, clean your house magically, and then also fucking sweep the floors and mop them and whatever else. Like, do
Don't
all
live
of
like
the
a
things.
trash animal.
Yes.
Don't be a
take the
trash
trash out.
animal.
Like it's fine. We already have
Or
pandas.
do whatever. Like if you want to be a fucking raccoon living in the trash, you do you, Diogenes. I don't care. Like live the life you want to live.
Absolutely. But if you want a clean house,
Sometimes,
you know,
sometimes
take the fucking trash out.
yeah, like sometimes you got to do the dishes. You got to mop the floors. Like, so there's this idea in Zen Buddhism that is basically everything that you do thus makes the macrocosm better, right? So like every little act of good that you do thus like benefits the world. So you like by like you can do all this meditation and you can do all of these like you know, enlightening with giant swishy air quotes spiritual practices or whatever, but you are also doing good in the world by cleaning your bathroom. You're also doing good in the world by like not littering, by like picking up the trash that someone threw on the street, by treating somebody with kindness. You are thus creating change in the macrocosm. And I think
Hell yeah.
I think that really applies to a lot of people. A lot of people get into magic and they're looking for results, right? You're looking for you know, let's use money as an example, right? You're looking to get more money. You want to, you know, not be fucking poor anymore. You don't want to live hand to mouth. You want a stable income, right? Like, yeah, you can pray to the god form of money and you can sacrifice blah 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 whatever. You can also like not eat fast food 3 times a week, take that money and like save it. You can also build a budget. You can also like, you know, look at things that are going to like add up in little ways that create big change.
Yeah, no, that is actually really, I feel like, an essential point of the very popular buzzword right now, praxis, right? Like this idea of like it's not about doing these huge fucking sweeping complicated things. Well, maybe for some people it is, and that's dope. But for me, it's about little shit constantly. And that's what sort of gets you there.
Yeah, you have to like you have to start somewhere. And when you start there, you're going to realize that doing these little things and seeing results is going to build your confidence. And I don't like not the confidence of like, you know, some dude who's driving a fucking Ferrari or whatever, right? But like the confidence in like, no, I know this works. I know that, you know, I know that my magic works because I've done it and it works. And so then you use that and you build on it and you build on it.
Sure.
It's,
I mean, and in some ways, like, I mean, when you really like kind of get into like the mindset of it, like you can understand that like it works because when you do something, like you can think about it in, oh gosh, I'm gonna get into like my weird time ideas, but like it's already like happened in a way. You've already made the decision. That's already like a path that you're on. So like you don't need to worry about it. It's already over in a way, right?
yeah, you've basically like you look at things in this term like in the sense of like you're doing a weird kind of like retroactive enchantment, right? Of like, no, I did this thing so that like the A equals B, right? Magic in my mind at least, it works at least in part because of confirmation bias. It works because you can look at a thing that you did a ritual for and then that thing happens, and then your conscious brain can connect A with B, no matter how like flimsy it seems, right?
Oh yeah, sure. No, I think like leaning into confirmation bias can be a huge part of like magical thought. For sure. This is getting into some other territory.
We've strayed far off the beaten path at this point.
Super interesting shit though. Okay, Colin, I want to hear from you. I feel like we've been blathering on, and I want to hear more about your ideas about this shit.
Do you have a more specific question? Because I respond better to your specific questions.
That is great feedback. Thank you. Let me try to reformulate. I would be curious to hear your thoughts about how you integrate meditation into like other practices, maybe. I know we've touched on this a little bit, but it seems like there's a lot there.
Geez, I mean, we already discussed earlier how it really is a building block. Like, I feel like it is the basis for so much other work. And because you need to have that control of your mind, or at least be able to get yourself into particular mindsets. If we're constantly talking about how, belief is a tool, well, so is your emotional state, and your mental state is a tool, and meditation is the primary, tool that's going to get you to that next tool, to be able to be in the mental state that's going to, get the results you want. I primarily use magic. Like, I don't do a lot of results magic. I do a lot more magic for personal growth and understanding, more psychological model type things, and to, help me just approach my life and to, view it in the way that's most helpful to myself. And meditation is, such a strong key of doing that. And, I feel like since I have this moment to talk, like really, like I've mentioned before, and I've even like as little as I am on the Discord, I've mentioned before how, there's no one way to meditate. And I really think people need to, don't get stuck in this a particular concepts of this is the right way or this is the wrong way, because meditation's not just always just sitting still and that. You can meditate sometimes by walking. You can meditate while you're in the middle of a magical practice. You can meditate while you're working or doing something with your hands. It's more about control of your mind, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, focus, flow. There's so many words for it.
Dude, yeah, that's fucking great advice. Like, I think that like being able to contextualize it in all of these different ways can be really helpful. You don't need any like fancy equipment. You don't need to like master a posture. Like, if that's what you're into, like, do it. But like, you don't need to, I
was going to say that's one of the beautiful things about your input, Kilone. Like, you'll be quiet for the longest time, but then when you come back, it will completely overshadow all of the 2 hours of bullshit.
I've listened to your guys' show.
We'll just yammer on forever, and it doesn't fucking matter. But then you'll come back after being silent, and you're just, oh, okay, well, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than everything else that we've said.
Well, thank you. I circling back to like people were like, oh, you have to sit in lowest position, you gotta do this or whatever. I mean, I think it's really important to start meditation from the most comfortable position you can be in, so you don't have the distractions.
My best work on my back.
Me too. I tend to lie on my back as well. I have a lot of back issues, or enough that like I either am lying down or I sit at a chair with my feet on the ground, and sitting up straight. Those are usually my two positions in which I do traditional still meditation.
Yeah. So like other people have these ways of doing things. Find your own, find what works for you and just do that.
And that circles back to you have to do it to find out what works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the best meditation is the meditation you do.
The best anything is the thing that you do.
Actually fucking do the work. Do the work.
You gotta do it.
Just do the thing.
The best heroin is the heroin you do.
That's true. That's very true. It's true. It's not good. It's not a great thing.
Might not be a great life choice.
No, it's not a great life choice, but it is factually correct. So,
well, We can argue about semantics, about factual correctness and everything later. All right. Well, cool. And thank you so much. Like, I feel like that was a really fucking poignant piece of advice for people that are starting to like approach these practices. Like, don't fucking overcomplicate it with any of them. Meditation, journaling, sigil work, trance work, anything, dream work, anything that you might be approaching. Don't fucking overthink it. Just do it, experiment with it, come to it in the way that makes sense to you, and work from there.
And I think now is a good point for me to get back onto my fucking horse when I just say, like, if you're doing any of this, journal. You have to journal. You have to write it down.
Yes.
Write down your experiences.
Down.
Journal,
Always.
journal, always. Like, that is the okay, you know that trope of fucking all of these wizards have this giant fucking library? All of those were empty books that they wrote into. That's all their library was. That was their journals. That was the trope.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again and again and again. The only real magical tool that exists is your journal. Everything else is a prop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't have to be like a written journal. You could do like an audio journal where you just use like a fucking tape recorder, like, you know, the fucking agent in Twin Peaks writing to Diana.
Dale
Like-
Cooper.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't remember the name. Yes, but like, I could remember Diana. But yes, like, it could be the same fucking thing. Like, do that. It's the same thing. Just keep a record of your progress. Keep a record of what your practices are. But keep a record. There has to be a record because there's no other way for you to look back and like grow. There's no other way.
The journal is the fucking key that unlocks the door of introspection, which is so fucking important to these practices, right? Like,
absolutely. Like, if meditation acts as the like foundation for magical practice, then journaling is the mortar that holds those bricks together.
okay, yeah, that's a much better metaphor. I know you were trying to avoid them.
You lost me. You lost me.
Yeah.
We lost Dreadnought now.
Done.
But yes, absolutely. And just like, I know, Yara, like on my show, we've talked about like how language itself really is magical, and like the act of writing something down in a book is like in a very basic fucking way an act of magic.
Like I had said, like, if you have these blocks that start off with the meditation, you use the journaling to hold those blocks together. And each block that you have is an experience that has been gained through meditation, and those are held together with the mortaring of journaling. And it holds it together by giving you reference points between them, by giving you a starting point, by letting you go back and observe the totality of the building that you are constructing.
Yeah, no, I like sometimes I think about it as like a machine, right? Like, all right, so if you're like a vehicle, like a car or something, like a thing that does a thing.
Thing that does a thing. Gotcha.
It's a thing. Yeah, you're a thing that does a thing. That
Gotcha.
makes sense. Right? But the idea of like the journal being the sort of like user's manual that you're constructing for yourself, like this kind of like process of like, well, how the fuck does this all work? Right? Like,
I tend to find that another really good thing of journaling is it keeps you on track, right? You can go back and read through not only how does this work, but like, what the fuck was I thinking? What was I like? What was I trying to accomplish?
What process went awry here?
Yeah, like, you know, you sit there and you're fucking like out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and you've got like a drinking horn and a fucking goat skin, and you're like throwing dirt at it, and you've just got a mouthful of cinnamon, and you don't know why. Look back at your journal, and it will tell you what the fuck you were thinking.
I just decided to chug all the spices in my cupboard.
You just got a cupboard full of cinnamon?
Yeah.
It's just cinnamon all the way down.
You can't
It's
pull
all
it.
cinnamon.
All right. Well, I feel like hopefully we've given people some useful advice about meditating and
not just
approaching
rambling.
Don't
the
chug
spiritual-
cinnamon.
or-
Don't do it. There
Or
we go.
do,
There's
whatever.
step
I'm
one.
not your dad.
I'm just, you're not going to have a good time. That's all I'm going to say.
You practice the way that you feel is right for you, but chugging cinnamon might not be a great idea.
No, definitely not.
Whatever. You do you. I'm not your dad. Do it. If you want to do it, do it. Like, it's on you.
I'll tell you, if you do decide to chug cinnamon, journal it.
Yes.
Yes, definitely record your results.
I think we can all agree on that.
Okay, so the Green Mushroom Project is all about like a collaborative effort of like trying to like regain ground from all of the fucking bullshit that's happened this fucking year. And so any like last thoughts about like, you know, in terms of like how people might be able to perhaps approach their interactions with other people and how other people practice?
So I think and I touched on this earlier, a lot of it has to do with the idea of providing value, right? You can't go into it thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking ransack this thing for all it's worth, right? You're really not going to see the full potential of what the Green Mushroom Project really represents unless you are kind of in all the way. You know, you want to think about like it is there to be able to provide, but it's also there to like one of the things that it provides is an outlet, right? So like it is a place for you to be able to like post art, to be able to post, you know, whatever that, you know, to be able to get feedback on shit, on ideas, to ask for help for things. But it's a collaborative effort. Like that is really central to what it is that's been built.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that like one of the things that's been so challenging with everything that's happened this year is like the sense of isolation, right? Like, so like this idea of like kind of building this web, like reforming these connections that like we can never really go back to the way that things were before. That's like a silly idea that is just not real if we really look at things. But like moving forward, like, you know, this idea of like all these connections have kind of been severed, and like how can we sort of rebuild this idea of or recontextualizing like how are we going to communicate and, you know, help and support each other and shit, like because we all really do want the same fucking things underneath all of it. I feel like, you know, we're all part of the same species, and even in a broader context like animals and other things, like we all want the same shit, right? So why not fucking work together?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is not just like how can we rebuild or how can we reconnect or whatever. One of the really interesting questions that comes up is like what can change, like what can develop, what can evolve out of it.
Yes, there's this. Okay, so there in alchemy, like in Western alchemy at least, there's this idea of like solve et coagula, right? Like dissolve and then like reassemble.
Yeah.
It would be one way of you know, stating that. But like, so things have been dissolved, like things have been fucked up and shitty, like the Tower card in the tarot comes up, right? Like, but like this gives us an opportunity, like how will we move forward, like how can we improve upon the way that things are, like instead of viewing it as a fucking, well, not gonna lie, it's been pretty fucking shitty.
Well, yeah,
but
it has
there's a lot of energy that's available from that shittiness that we can fucking use to fucking go forward in a way that could be really cool.
And to tie it back to like the meditation talk at the beginning, yes, it is shitty. We can accept that and move like forward, or we can just sit there and be like preoccupied with how shitty everything is. And like that, I'm not trying to say that in like a rhetorical way. Those are literally the two options that are there, right?
Yeah.
You can either accept it and like integrate it, or you can sit there and stamp your feet about it. And
well, I mean, in biological terms, it's more like adapt or fucking die, right? Like,
yeah.
That's very harsh. Maybe I'll edit that out.
I mean, that's
no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's also really apt. Adapt to like what the new normal is or die. That's what's happening. People are either adapting.
Yeah, confront your battles or be destroyed by them. Maybe, right? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's also like literally like adapt, wear a mask, social distance, wash your fucking hands, or die. Those are the options. Pick one.
yes.
I don't care which one you pick. Pick one. I do care which one you pick. Don't fucking get me sick. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Please be responsible.
But yeah, I think that's something that is very on the cusp with the Green Mushroom Project, is the idea of adaptation and the idea of like how can we evolve our practice collectively and as individuals? What can we pull from? What can we contribute? And like, what does this say to like the idea of individuality versus the collective? You know?
Mm-hmm. And also, like, how can we revise our thinking in a way that, like, instead of being reactive, we're being proactive and thinking about, like, instead of, like, dealing with all this, like, stress and shittiness, which we need to do, obviously, but, like, looking forward past that and saying, like, well, what do we want to result from all of this? Like, I think it's important, you know, like, look forward, like, and, like, have the fantasy of the life that you want and fucking move towards that.
Yeah. Visualize the thing you want and then actualize it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm just looking at the time here. It looks like we've been talking about all this shit for a while, and I feel like we could continue on, perhaps indefinitely.
Remember that time when we were like, hey, let's see if we can get like 20 minutes.
But does anybody have any like last thoughts, any like questions, comments, or anything like that? Like,
I'm all good over here.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job as far as like getting. It took us a while to get there, but we got to the point that we were shooting for.
What about you, Colin? Do you have any last thoughts, comments?
I think most of what could be said probably hasn't been said, but we tried really hard.
I think that's actually a really honest statement of what has happened.
Yeah, see? That's what I was saying.
We've done our best. I hope it's helpful, everybody. Thanks again to Dave from Unearthing Paranormalcy. I really fucking appreciate your help on this. And thank you so much to everybody that is participating in the Green Mushroom Project. The mushroom just wants to fucking grow. Hashtag dick jokes. But
Hey!
You can find out more about this. You can join the Faith Blind Council Discord server, which is a very fun place to hang out with a lot of very knowledgeable and cool, helpful people. You can listen to the Lux Occult podcast, or the Faith Blind Council podcast, or the Unearthing Paranormalcy podcast to hear other things about this, or little tips or whatever. Thank you guys so much for being willing to join me for this very long introduction for a very short meditation.
You're welcome.
That's what we're all about here, is just elongating the content. We did.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're just all those filler words that you put in your fucking essays.
Plus, like, triple spacing and, like, 12.5 fonts instead of 12.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually accurate. I have listened to your show. There's a lot of fucking great stuff in there. But
And almost
Thanks.
none of it is on topic.
No.
that's okay. I mean, the essay means to wander. Like, the rabbit hole leads where it goes, so it's okay.
I see that you follow MLA, so that's good.
Well, thank you guys so much again for the time and for your insights and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
not
you
a
so much
problem.
thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us.
Yeah, that part.
Thank you.
That was what I was going to say. Words. We did it.
And also, yes, thanks for, I guess, having me. I don't know. This is going to be a collaborative thing, so I'm not sure how it will be contextualized, but yes.
Yeah, we'll figure
I
it out.
appreciate the time. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, and to everybody listening, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this meditation. It did turn out a little bit hornier than I meant it to be. I'm sorry. Maybe you like it. I don't know. Enjoy.
Focus on the green mushroom sigil for a few moments. When you feel that you can imagine it in your mind, close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Let the tension ease out of your body, each joint relaxing. We can now begin our meditation. Bring awareness to your body. Acknowledge this awareness by shifting your position to one that feels a bit more comfortable, a bit more relaxed. Breathe in deeply, concentrating on the breath. Feel it filling the lungs, the buildup of pressure of the inhale, the release of the exhale, like a wave creeping over the shore before returning to sea, the cycle repeating endlessly. Breathe in again, feeling your body relax a little bit more. Feel your body sink into the surface where you sit or lay. Feel the serene stillness of it. Search for the center of yourself, the seed of pure potential that exists within each of our cores. Feel that source of your inner power. You are in the darkness, but it is the darkness of a comforting safety, like that which falls like a curtain just before sleep. You are safe. You are whole. You are enough, strong enough, brave enough, competent enough to do the work before you. And in your core, you know this. You have always known it. Around you, in the darkness, a sphere of energy is beginning to form. The energy is cool and calm, inviting. Feel the energy of the sphere coalesce until it becomes more solid. It is the blue color of deep curtains, of the sky just before dawn. It is the energy of expansion, an openness which by its very nature wants only to expand. It is receptive, a space that is space itself. Hold this sphere in your mind's eye, in the periphery of your vision, and imagine it radiating out into the far reaches of the inner world, an ever-expanding space with you at its center. Feel that feeling of openness as a physical sensation, the chest expanding, the mind relaxing, the body calm. Hold this for a moment. Feel the limitless potential of an expanding universe and the dreams which populate it. Feel the structure of the space around you, which is also this moment. In the darkness, the expansive calm, a spark is beginning to shine. You can see it just between your eyes and slightly above in the position of your third eye. Focus on it. As it grows brighter, you can see that it is made up of a yellow light, a volatile spark that wants to arc, to travel, to explore. It is the energy of initialization, an arrow shot grows brighter, washing the darkness behind your closed eyes in a profusion of tiny lights, dancing with crackling energy. Focus on the expansive sphere and the sparking, the darkness it wants now. Feel the energetic potential of their opposing natures. These two forces are fundamental. Their interactions, the beginning of all things. Feel their desire to combine, to create. Hold this limitless power of creation. Breathe it in, and when you breathe out, feel your own power to create, to build, to connect. You are the embodiment of limitless potential. You are a temple which contains the sacred flame, the seed at your core around which you grow. The power is building now, the spark growing brighter, the sphere electric with the energy of expectancy. Look into the light of the spark. You can now see that within the spark, there is something very important to you. Only you know what this thing is in this moment, but it is a thing that you hold with a fierceness and passion that drives you to act, or a thing which you love so much it brings tears to your eyes. It may be a moment, a memory. Whatever you see in the spark, allow yourself to sit for a moment with the feeling of it. Notice it building in intensity. Breathe deeply, your breaths now becoming a bit quicker as you draw extra energy to maintain this focus. Feel the pushing, the pulling, the balance that hovers around an equilibrium that will never be reached. For if it were, all things would cease. Let the pressure build up, maintaining focus, the energy growing more insistent. When you feel that the moment is right, allow the spark to explode outwards in tiny, glittering yellow stars, fireworks that meet with the blueness of the sphere and turn green, spherical. The aftermath of this creative explosion is a cloud of green specks of light, swirling around you in fractal patterns, dancing and twirling in the eddies of air, the sparks that float all around you and upwards. In the currents of the upper atmosphere, the specks are carried on high winds to distant places, floating down to do their work whenever they are needed. Where they settle on your skin, you feel comfort. As you breathe them in, you feel repaired. You can now feel specks of green light, the spores of an astral mushroom which grows and glows with green light somewhere in the realm of the imagination. Its hyphae rooting into the ground where it connects us all together. One dream, dreaming of itself. If you see a situation where these sparks, these spores, can help to heal, simply imagine them floating down and taking root. Realize that we are now covered in the sparks, the seeds of healing bringing relief. Relief from the strain and the stress of these hard months. Relief from the feelings of uncertainty and unease. Relief from the heartache of isolation and loss. The glittering green sparks sink in, and with sudden certainty, you can feel that it will all be okay. And you don't have to understand the why, or the how, or the when to know this. For in your core, you know that. Together, we can make this so. You are not alone. You are part of a vast network. We are connected. All life. All of us. In ways too complex to understand, but simple to know. You are not alone, and you are loved. You are safe. You are whole, and you are already enough. Bring your attention back to your breath. Breathe deeply. Feel the awareness of your body. When you are ready, open your eyes and look again at the sigil. You may see, out of the corner of your eye perhaps, that it is a light in a green glow.